All right, beautiful people. Y'all know the drill. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back for another edition of the Conscious Approach podcast on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody tuning in as always. We certainly appreciate the engagement and the participation and the viewing of everyone who has decided that our content and commentary is worthy of your attention. We certainly appreciate it, and we do not take it for granted, not in the slightest. So yeah, as always, man, JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back once again, April the 22nd, 2025. Hope everyone out there is having a glorious start to their week. Before we get things kicked off, I want to say check us out on Spotify, check us out on Apple Podcasts, check us out on Amazon Music. Just search Conscious Approach. That is where you can find us. If you are, not in position to view us on YouTube, to watch the videos, you're driving in the car, hitting it at the gym, wherever you are, but you don't really want to watch videos, head over to those various outlets, pop the headphones in, check us out audio style. Just want to be available to everyone in any way possible. If this is your first time checking us out, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think, because we do not try to create a cult here. We don't care if you disagree with us. In fact, we welcome it. The only thing that we ask is that you are constructive with your feedback. Feedback of the troll variety is not practical. Therefore, we will, in all likelihood, ignore it. Also, one last thing before we get started. We are also now available. We are not also now accessible on TikTok. That's right. Check us out on TikTok at ConApproach, ConApproach, just like the Instagram page. Although we will probably be far more active on TikTok because TikTok is just a more user-friendly platform for what we like to do. Instagram isn't very good with long-form video content. So, if you want to check us out on the social channels and you're not really all that active on YouTube, head on over to TikTok. Check us out at ConApproach. Follow us there and engage with the content there. We certainly appreciate you. Now, of course, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off with the proceedings this evening. First thing that we are going to get into is Tracy Ellis Ross. Tracy Ellis Ross, OG in the game, goes all the way back to the 90s. She goes all the way back to the UPN days for any of my millennials out there who even know what UPN is. First time that I even learned of who this woman was on that TV show Girlfriends on UPN. Forget how long it lasted, but I believe it started in the late 90s, but I could be wrong. Late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And she was on another show, what's the name of that show?
Oh, Blackish.
What is it again?
Blackish.
There you go. Blackish. Yeah. So she was on that show, and reason why she's gone viral recently is because she was on the great Michelle Obama's podcast. And they got and they started talking about personal stuff, and they got into her relationship preferences, and she divulged a little bit into her mindset on why it is that she chooses to date younger men over men her own age, citing older men who harbor toxic masculinity. She says she prefers to date younger men because men her age are on that toxic masculinity stuff. She's been there and done that. She's not interested in it anymore. And so aside from the physical allure of dating men who are younger, apparently, according to her, younger men are also not toxically masculine. So let's hear from Miss Ellis Ross, and we'll give our opinions, of course, on what it is that she had to say.
I mean, and a lot of it is because
let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a great dinner. We had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, "But why?" And I said, "Well, maybe because I can."
Yes, Harish. This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracy's.
It's fun. It's very fun to share.
Tracy tale.
But
I'm sorry.
But one of the reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, "What is this about?" because I want a partner. And so often, and it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous? There's that. But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
Will not do it again.
Jesus.
So there you go. I don't know, Michelle Obama. I guess she's really trying to.
What's she doing, bro?
I don't know. Is she trying to like do the modern woman manifesto thing? I don't really know. You know what that particular piece of it is, but I digress, man. But yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross, man, older men, toxic masculinity. And that's why she dates younger men. What do you think about that?
To me, this sounds like a bunch of hogwash. It didn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense on one hand, but the one hand that it makes sense on is the same hand that that women get so upset about with men. Not wanting to date women their age because they have a form of toxic femininity. All right. So they don't want to date them because they're stuck in their ways. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So they want to go get something younger. But then, of course, people get hollering from the rooftop, from the rafters. All right. Hollering that you're taking advantage of somebody that doesn't know better, that doesn't know who they are, aren't standing on any principles, so you can just run roughshod on them. Well, this sounds like the same handbook. Apparently the older men are stuck in their ways, but they're stuck in a form of toxic masculinity. So she would rather deal with a younger person who may not be firm on their stances, may not be, standing on business for themselves. Therefore, she has the ability to control the situation instead of being controlled, because that's what it sounds like to me. So this sounds like a robust woman wanting to live a robust lifestyle and live it over somebody, and I gotta tell you, man, I don't even know what that means as far as the whole toxic masculinity thing. I mean, I guess I get what she's getting at, but as far as I'm concerned, I would also argue if there's a younger man who is, a man, he would also display forms of toxic masculinity. Last thing I'll say is that man that was sitting at the table, okay, he was an older man, and he seems to not be exhibiting toxic masculinity. In fact, he seems to be of the soy variety. So what's stopping Tracy from dating a guy like him? That's her own age, because there's men that are soy that are her age. So to me, I'll holler cap on this. I'm not buying it. She just wants to be worshipped and praised. And a younger man to do that. Older man will know what she's worth and know that she ain't worth the time. But a younger person in his naivete would worship her in a sense because she has this status and robust lifestyle. Not buying a cap. She can take her ego somewhere else and shove it. But what are your thoughts, man, on Miss Tracy Ellis Ross around here on the Obama podcast of all things, saying that, hey, she can't deal with older men because they're too crusty and stuck in their own toxic masculinity ways. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, the show kind of stops short of asking her to qualify what she means by toxic masculinity. So that contextualization is required, I believe, when a person makes comments like that. Because if what she is describing is a traditional family structure in which the participants in the relationship have clearly defined roles that they have to adhere to, and it's a man who believes in the notion of traditional gender roles, that to me is not toxic masculinity. That is traditionalism. But I think nowadays traditionalism is being conflated with toxicity inherently.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about that on several videos in the past. There's this propensity on the part of people who just want to rail against the patriarchy and rail against masculinity in general. They want to coalesce all aspects of masculinity under the toxic umbrella when that is simply not true. There is a difference, there is a delineation between toxic masculinity and traditional true masculinity. And most men who are traditionally masculine, I would suggest, especially those whom are older, adhere to traditional gender roles within the structure of a relationship. And they would prefer that their partner also be willing to adhere and to submit to those roles. Because in any sort of interpersonal dynamic, everyone must adhere to a role. Otherwise, the relationship is completely in flux and always in a state of chaos. The only way for it to be stable is if the individuals adhere to their roles, the roles that work best given what they bring to the table, thereby creating a functional situation. But if in her mind that means toxic, then you got me there. My problem would be, is that what she means by toxic? Is she conflating traditionalism with toxicity? And I don't know her past, I don't know her personal history, but there's a tendency for people who talk like that, I have found, to really be saying, I have a problem with traditionalism. Traditionalism is what is toxic. And so what they'll do is they'll conflate all of it under the sun. So if you're masculine in any kind of way, because what they want to do is create a narrative in which being masculine is inherently toxic.
Yes.
You know, so and I bring up examples such as evildoers in the world. You know, people like Epstein, the Diddler, Kevin Spacey, Weinstein. So these individuals who are, in my opinion, evildoers in the world, because they are all men, that gets lumped underneath the umbrella as a case study for why masculinity is inherently toxic. Because the idea is no one who balks at the notion of toxicity of masculinity would ever live such a life. That is a form of toxic. That is a form of that is masculinity in itself. That kind of behavior is in and of itself masculinity, and therefore masculinity in a complete vacuum is inherently toxic. They're not even doing their due diligence to separate the two. And I have news for people like that. I was raised by a masculine father. He's not toxic. I have many men in my family who are decent, good, law-abiding, respectful family men who don't subjugate their women. They're very much masculine and they're not toxic. But this ridiculous conflation of toxicity and masculinity is, in my opinion, the crux of this particular issue. Yeah. And I think for her to speak like that, in my opinion, it reveals how she, throughout her life, may have not done the very best job of vetting and choosing her own partners. Okay. And when someone does not do a very good job of vetting and choosing their own partners, there is a propensity for those individuals to perhaps enter into toxic setups because they can't tell the difference between what is toxic and what is not. And when your pathology is to repeat that process over and over again, you end up essentially lambasting the entire situation and saying, well, I don't like dealing with men of a certain age because they're all toxic. Maybe you just suck at picking people. And so now it becomes easier to deal with younger men because younger men likely don't know who they are, juxtaposed to older men. I don't really think this is about masculinity or lack thereof. I think it's about toxicity. And there is a difference between the two. But I think for people who can't tell the difference, they have a tendency to conflate everything and equate masculinity with toxicity. And that is what I take issue with.
Yeah, I think this is a classic case of dangerous rhetoric. Her going around, and yeah, it would have been nice if she qualified it, but of course she did not. But as you mentioned, there's this blanket umbrella thing going on as if the man's being man, then automatically he's being toxic. And the crazy part about it is that we have been taught a form of. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the masculinity that was provided to us on television and forms of media is the appropriate form, because no, that is not how masculinity goes. Okay. But at the same time, not like you mentioned, there's men that you know in your life, there's men that I know in my life that are being man. They're not acting like the men on TV. And so therefore, they're practicing healthy forms of masculinity. Traditionally, what went on in the world before, we were, brainwashed as a people. There were healthy forms of masculinity where the men did what men do. And then there was healthy forms of femininity where women did what they supposed to do. And a woman, for instance, could still have a robust lifestyle and still do what women are supposed to do. Like, for instance, traditionally, women would have high roles in society. I'm speaking African. We would have high roles in society. They would be the doctors, the oracles, or the what have yous. All right. Hell, even the leader of the people in some cases. All right. But even though they were doing these things, they still did traditionally what women do, because women, although they can do one thing, they can also do others, and they can still do what their job is. And on the flip side of that, while a woman is still living her robust lifestyle, she still is not responsible for going out there and killing the XYZ and bringing it home, or doing certain levels of farming. If she was doing this, the guy would do that, or, so a man could still respect a woman, even though she has a lifestyle that isn't in the kitchen. So, but nevertheless, why you here comes the misogyny, even though you still out there being oracle, I expect stew as well. that's not my job. My job is to do the stuff that you don't want to do, and also the violent things as well. So, but that comes to a head when we talk about how men are being put into a certain position in society where we're not asked to go out there and be warriors. We're not asked out there to go kill something and bring it home. We just asked to have a high paying job. And so there's ways where, even though it's not being seen that way, men do go out of their way when they are trying to be healthy. They do go out of their way to try to make sure that there's a stable situation at the house. So it's not the traditional be a warrior XYZ, but in today's society, it does formulate in having a W-2 or what's that, 1099 or whatever it is,
Well, that's the westernization of it all.
That's the westernization of it all. And so, but nevertheless, that would have to be sufficient, but it's still not seen as, because there's this whole situation of I see a person out there making more than you, and this is where the westernization, where the women come in at. I still see somebody making more than you, living a better lifestyle, taking their family on better vacations. You're not earning enough. You're not being a warrior enough. So, on all sides, when we're dealing with how society goes, here in the West, we really have to look at how both sides are being toxic. And at the same time, it's not a situation of whether, all men or the majority of men who are being man and want to see things that a woman does. We're not being misogynist, man. Because if I got to take out the trash, if I got to clean the gutters, cut the grass, that's what men do. And so, and likewise, I would just like the reciprocal. And I don't want to be called toxic because I expect my woman to be motherly and caretaking for the home.
Yeah.
But hey, be that as it may, robust lifestyle or not, I want to see you come home and be that way. But she doesn't want to do that. She feels as though that's servitude and slavery. And so that's why she has that opinion. And other women that think like her think that way. But I think that is, like you said, conflated and misguided.
Yeah, I agree. People who talk like her have been sold a bag of goods that roles within a relationship are a constraint.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and where you connect that with masculinity is, in my opinion, most men who are living in their masculine energy and are traditionally masculine also believe in the notion of roles within a relationship. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you deductive reasoning, you are now concluding that someone who is masculine is inherently toxic. But that comes from this idea that you believe that things such as roles and responsibilities that tend to fall along gender lines within a relationships are akin to some sort of a constraint. And in this day and age, to suggest that someone be okay with the constraint is inhumane and improper. And it's our responsibility to sort of combat that, because we ought to be living in a world free of said constraints, even though said constraints were never an issue to begin with. You must also remember that if you are constrained within the confines of this relationship, then so am I. We are both constrained and we are both adhering to particular roles. It just makes sense.
Exactly.
And at a certain point, people need to realize that maybe they're just not built for what they claim they want. And that's part of the cappery going on out here. She's 52 years old. She's reached the cutoff point, I feel. The likelihood that she is going to obtain what it is that she seeks, in my opinion, is low, unless she seeks it with a man older than her. But that will not happen because she doesn't fancy older men. So she's caught between a rock and a hard place. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I'm starting to feel as though relationship-oriented people are like born and not made. In this day and age, I'm just not seeing it. I kind of feel like if you're built for it, it will happen for you. And it won't be a situation where I get into something with you and we have to sit down and have a whole discussion about roles and who does what and who does this and who fulfills this obligation and who's the person who is sort of in the position of leadership, who's the authoritarian. Like, people who are built for lifelong partnership and companionship, and it fits and there's compatibility and there's symmetry, no one's actually sitting down having those kinds of formal discussions. It's something that kind of happens organically because everyone understands that in order for this thing to be proper, in order for it to be successful, that's what's going to have to happen. So if you have all of these thoughts going through your mind of what you need and what has to happen in order for it to work for you, I feel as though there's a chance you're just not built for it. And so if you're constantly going through all of these different thought processes over toxic masculinity or lack thereof and what that even constitutes to me, that's an indication that you're probably somebody who is just designed for the extent of your life probably to be alone. You're probably just not designed for it. And when I say, because everybody within relationships has formal discussions about how are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle education? How are we going to handle food? How are we going to handle bills and expenses? How are we going to handle, religion? How are we going to handle all of those sorts of things like that? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about baseline stuff like I fulfill this basic role of caregiver. There's no need to have a formal discussion like that. If you have to sit down with someone who you're vetting for partnership to have a formal discussion about who's the caregiver and who's the one that works or who's the one that cooks or who's the one that does the heavy lifting physically, it's an indication that one of those individuals is not built for this, because those are natural inclinations that are going to formulate as a result of who you are, where you come from, and what your sensibilities are. And for her to speak like that tells me that she is lacking in those general sensibilities, and therefore she might have to come to terms with the fact that she might not be built for something that she claims she's looking for. Especially when you're that age and you're saying that you prefer to do younger men because they're not going to give you all of that other stuff. It is what it is. But like you, I feel like you can be robust and still be fulfilled within the confines of a relationship with someone who believes in and adheres to true masculine qualities. And for her to not understand that is emblematic of the way a lot of women think these days, but nevertheless off balance.
1,000, man. So, let us know down in the comment section, y'all. What are y'all's thoughts on what Tracy Ellis Ross had to say on this? You guys feel like she's on point? We're the ones off base? That, hey, toxic masculinity is running rampant. It is destroying the game. It's destroying the dating pool. So date younger? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that adds up, but let me know down in the comment section, guys. Please, love to hear it.
Yeah. And in order for us to do that, we're all going to have to be aware of what the actual definition of toxic masculinity is.
Yeah.
We can't operate off of the fake definition. We got to make sure we're using the real one.
100.
Good luck to you, Miss Ross. Unfortunately, she speaks for a lot of women, I think. So,
Yeah, and I'm going to check out this Obama podcast. I didn't know it was a thing. So I got to see what the hell she's doing on there, bro. That's kind of, is she doing a Jada Pickett? Hopefully it's more progressive.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope it's not. Jeez, Lou. All right, and now we're going to get into Akon, who is in the process of re-recording his entire musical catalog in country music, along with what he claims to be star-studded collaborations in the country music genre. According to Akon, this is something that has been brewing for quite some time. He has been reluctant to go public with it as it is in the works, but he claims that we are going to slowly but surely in the near future start to see some drips and drops of his entire catalog being re-recorded with a lot of collaborations in country style. So this says Akon plans to re-record his whole catalog as country music with star-studded collaborators. Akon says that he's working with a number of popular country artists to re-release many of his most popular tracks as country remixes. He revealed the plan while speaking with TMZ for an interview in New York City. I'm actually redoing my whole catalog in country, Akon revealed to the outlet while signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. I'm not even joking. This has been an idea for years. The project has been in motion for the last 5 years. But starting next month, y'all are going to start seeing all the releases. After confirming what a new version of this iconic track, Locked Up, is coming, he noted that he's working with a ton of country artists for the idea. They're country artists featuring me. They're the ones performing them. As for which songs could be included, Akon's had a ton of hits throughout the course of his career. Some of the biggest tracks include Smack That with Eminem, I Want to Love You with Snoop Dogg, Sorry, Blame It On Me, and Lonely. In addition to the country music plans, Akon is also still working on his ambitious Akon City project. Back in 2018, he revealed that he was working on building a futuristic and eco-friendly city in Senegal, which he referred to as a real-life Wakanda. He intended to use blockchain and cryptocurrency technology to power the city. So so on and so forth. Not going to go ahead and play that video because we'll get flagged if YouTube detects the little TMZ, jingle sound there. But yeah. So what do you make of this, man? What do you think about Akon saying that it's been in the work for 5 years, but he's remixing his entire catalog?
I feel as though he should. I feel like he should have kept that a secret. I felt like his trepidations of letting the public know should have stayed trepidized. I don't need to know that. And how the hell are you going to remake Smack That in a country version? Besides getting a tremendous laugh out of it, I'm personally not interested. Now I'm not mad that he's out here trying to get a bag. But I really feel as though he was better off doing like more of an R&B version of this, but he's trying to cross over and get country dollars. So, I guess I can't be mad at that either. But I think it'd have been better off him doing an R&B version of his stuff if he wanted to make covers of his own music. It would be better off to be sung, really sung, because I guess Akon sings. But I mean more of a Nate Dogg kind of singing it out. But him trying to get on a country song, and sing about convict music. I don't know how that's gonna cross over, man. So ambitious, yes. Do I think it's gonna work? Personally, it's not going to be my cup of tea, but I'm sure there's going to be people out there that gravitate towards it. There's people that gravitate towards all kinds of stuff. So I'm pretty sure that, it's going to have some level of crossover appeal. But I think the main thing is that, it's kind of a situation of roulette, if you will. The whole wheel is his catalog. Just throw the ball, it might land on something. So if he's got 50 songs, for instance, and he remakes 50 songs, 2 of them might actually catch and get played in these country festivals and stuff. And now he's got another stream of revenue, all because he remade his stuff country style. So as a business model, it's worth a shot in the dark. But it's literally just that, a shot in the dark. But I don't think anybody's really, knocking over tables to check for this. So, yeah, man, more power to you, Akon. Flip over every stone, man. Try to get every bit of bag you can, because I don't think anybody's really checking for his old stuff anyway. So might as well try to rebrand it, resurface it to try to get another check out of it. But what are your thoughts, man, on Akon music running around here revamping his catalog to that of country tones? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. It's not my cup of tea either, but here is some constructive observation based upon this. And this is to all of those Beyonce fans who were outraged because Beyonce didn't get consideration for country music album of the year. I think it was the CMAs or something. There was a lot of outrage because Beyonce was overlooked. Her Cowboy Carter album was overlooked for album of the year in country music, and people got mad about that. The same people who were upset about that need to upstream and listen to this as much as possible. You need to add some validity to this crossover aspect of people coming from one genre of black music over into country music and being successful. Now, my theory on why Beyonce was not, acknowledged for country music album of the year, personally, in my opinion, is I think country music as an institution views her as a merchant. They view her as a mercenary, someone who is not really a part of the fabric of country music, but decided to just dip and dab and see how much she can leverage her popularity to gain some traction in the genre.
Mhm.
And country music was basically like, we're not going to acknowledge you if we perceive you to be a fly by night. We are going to acknowledge the people who have been cultivating, creating, and uplifting what is country music for years and decades, and so on and so forth. Not somebody who decided that they were just going to jump over here, make one country album, and now because she has this legion of zombie fan bases, we're supposed to placate to her, to their demands, and put her up here in this stratosphere where she's winning all these awards and trophies. So they decided no mas, and they weren't going to have any of that. I believe that if you really did feel some type of way about Beyonce being a part of country music, I think you should also be supporting other Black country music artists. But what we saw is Beyonce fans supporting Beyonce and masquerading as fans of country music when they're really not fans of country music. Because if you were, you'd be supporting the litany of other country music artists who are Black, who have been making country music for years and years, but y'all have been ignoring them, and you want to unmute when it comes to Beyonce, which shows that you're not really about that life. You're just mad because you feel like your idol was slighted. So if you want to add some legitimacy to your claim, then I think that you should upstream the hell out of this Akon project. You should upstream the hell out of it. You should listen to it. You should support it. You should let the institution that is country music know that y'all are here to stay. Don't flip-flop, jump in 1 second and then jump out because one of your favorite hip-hop or R&B artists is not involved, and that's the only way that you'll pay attention. Pay attention to it 24/7. Support these Black country music artists. And I'm speaking specifically to the community because I would imagine that there is some crossover in terms of the fan bases of an Akon and the fan bases of a Beyonce, culturally, speaking culturally. So my whole thing is, if you are really about that life, you better make sure that this album sticks the landing in terms of popularity and in terms of metrics. And if it doesn't, then you have no leg to stand on when some other R&B artist or Black artist who's never been involved in country music before decides to jump up in there and do some mercenary album that you love only because it's them and not the actual music itself. And when they get overlooked by that actual genre, you're going to complain and hoot and holler about it. Support the music in totality. Don't just jump in and out whenever some artist that you like and fancy decides to be a mercenary about it. Be in it to win it. And I'm saying all that. You know the point that I'm getting at is, if you want to talk about it, be about it. Support these other Black country music artists and support this Akon project, whether I think it's good or not. Because if you don't, then y'all have no right to complain when Beyonce doesn't get overlooked for the next award that you feel she should be entitled to, only because you love Beyonce so much and not because it was actual legitimate great country music.
Yeah, man. I agree, dog. I think Locked Up might go hard. But I think what he should have did was we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Maybe some of the other ones will sound good, but I think Locked Up could be a country tune, possibly. Possibly.
But my point is, Beyonce, even if she puts out something and it's not good in terms of country, the fan base is going to demand that she get her respect as a country artist.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's essentially what just happened.
Yeah.
Now granted, I didn't listen to that whole project, but but it was lauded by her fans and by supporters of hers. And was it great country music? Not according to country music itself. They felt differently. But it didn't matter whether she was actually doing country for real. They felt as though she deserved her just due because of who she is. So my whole thing is, and I hear what you're saying, but my whole thing is, even if Smack That ain't going hard country style, right? Even if the country version of Smack That ain't going hard country style, you shouldn't care. You should still be hooting and hollering with him the same way that y'all hoot and hollered about Beyonce.
Nah, well, I hear that, man, but the Beehive normally don't keep the same energy for nothing outside of Beyonce.
And that's their problem.
So, yeah, they put more life into Beyonce than they do in their own life. And that's not a diss or anything. Like, they literally support her harder than they support their own family members. And that's something that they have to look in the mirror and deal with. And but they won't, but yeah, man, we'll see how this pans out. I would be interested to hear how his rendition of Locked Up would be. I think what these artists should do is that they should remake their songs to whatever would be the best type of genre. So, for instance, some of his songs wouldn't really sound good as country, really wouldn't sound good as R&B, but it might sound good in rock.
Mm-hmm.
So have this be a rock song, or this song, Smack That wouldn't really sound good as a country thing like that. I do want to hear that to laugh at it. But
I don't know. I'm listening. I'm playing Smack That, the melody in my head. I think it might work country. It might. You might go listen to it. Listen to it again when we done, bro. I feel like that can sort of go country style. I feel.
It probably could. You could do-si-do to that, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You could square dance to that. But I think that'll go harder it's probably already made in the EDM version of that. But I think that'll go harder in EDM, And so I think certain things would be better in certain categories. So if there is an artist out there that does have a catalog, I would just make remixes of my own work. I really don't see anything wrong with that either. To try to, regenerate your bag. I think that is actually not a bad idea. But for him to go hard body and country and then bring in a country music star to do Jeezy's part. I don't know how that's gonna pan out besides the sideshow. You know what I'm saying? So I kudos to Akon. He's gonna try to find a bag. He's always been about that. So the country music trend is a thing. So why not hop on that wave while it's hot, I guess. So we'll see how it pans out, man. But point well taken for the Hive. But I highly doubt they're going to be, transition. And I highly doubt they, I'm pretty sure some of them actually tried to listen to country music as a whole, as a genre, because Beyonce brought them over. I'm pretty sure some people dibble and dabble, but I would holler the overwhelming majority of them only follow Beyonce over. Mm-hmm. And they left as soon as, they were done listening to it. So, hey man, black artists, they're in the field. Yeah, man, support. But I think that what Akon's doing is, more, what do you call it? Mercenary behavior. So, yeah, I don't buy it, but kudos, I guess.
I just feel, for those, because it's gonna happen again. You'll have your favorite rapper or your favorite R&B artist or your favorite black entertainer who decides to jump over into country music, and you're so enamored with these people that you feel like they should just at that point completely run roughshod over the institution of that genre. And win all of the awards and all the accolades and be given honors in the highest of esteems over people who have been making that music faithfully for decades, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you want to add some legitimacy to the idea that their work should be taken more seriously, I think it would behoove those individuals who are impassioned in this way to support that kind of music in every way that they can. So it doesn't happen often, but whenever you do get that opportunity to support in that way, you need to take full advantage of it. So if you want what you feel happened to Beyonce in terms of her being slighted or overlooked or disrespected, if you want to sort of, you know, perform a particular action that decreases the chances of that happening in the future, then you can start that process by paying attention to and supporting whatever this ends up being. Uh, and that is whether it is good or not, because music is subjective. Just because it's Beyonce doesn't mean it was good, even though y'all think it was. So whether Akon's project is good or not is also subjective. Support it so that the next time Beyonce decides to be a mercenary country music artist, or the next time any of these other people decide to genre hop and be mercenary artists, they won't get overlooked or disrespected the way your favorite artist got overlooked and disrespected. In this case, that of course being Beyonce. So, it's just my overall point with people. People need to break out of their conformist shackles and listen to the damn country music. Stop complaining and listen to it. There's Black country music artists. Black people have been inextricably intertwined with country music since its inception. This idea that country music isn't Black music is a lie that's been sold to you, and you ate it and bought it. So listen to the music, listen to it and support it. Don't just jump in and out whenever somebody like Beyonce decides to jump in and out.
Yeah, fair points, man. And I think some people like Rod Wave would be good for that too. I don't listen to Rod Wave's music. I've heard some of it, but I think he would transition phenomenally to country stuff as well, because he makes basically country stuff, but it's the hip hop version of it. But yeah, man, I think that more artists, honestly, man, following the Akon hustle tree, I guess the Beyonce hustle tree too, but at least remaking your old stuff, man, into another genre to get another bag in another community. Why not? You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything wrong with that. It's yours, you own it, so just make a country remix. And some of those are gonna slap, so go for it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not either. And of course, I'm partial because he's my favorite. But when Jay-Z did that mashup with Linkin Park,
yeah, that thing went hard.
I mean, that every song on there was great, in my opinion.
No, it went hard, bro. I was hating on that. I was like, damn, bro, why he had to do that? But it went hard.
It did, yeah, and it was the perfect blend of that infusion of rock and hip hop. Mm-hmm. And I don't recall something being done as good as that since, but that to me is a prime example of the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. But people need to just be 10 toes down with this stuff. It doesn't help your cause when you want your favorite artist to be recognized for work of this variety, when you're perceived as merchants who are going to be here today and gone tomorrow. And I feel like Beyonce was perceived that way by country music as a whole. And I think Beyonce's fans, by extension, were also perceived that way by country music. So if you want that to stop, support this stuff, stay there, don't leave, and also support the other Black country music artists.
Yeah, 100, man. So hey, let us know down in the comment section, guys. What are y'all's thoughts on this Akon remastering all of his classics? Classics in air quotes. All right, to country music ballads. You guys down with this? And if so, which one would you be excited to hear? Honestly, I would want to hear Locked Up. I'm not gonna lie. And smack that for the irony of it all. But let us know down in the comment section, guys. Which one would you love to hear?
Yeah. Rod Wave would work, now that I think about it, because he already does nothing but make sad songs anyway.
That's what I'm getting at.
So he would definitely be very transferable to country.
He need to holler at that Shabuzi guy. And I'm telling you, man, make a crossover country type. I don't know if Shabuzi trying to do that, but I think that's good money, bro. And if y'all do that, bro, I want to cut. It's my idea. I want that money, bro.
Oh, and now on a bit of a disappointing topic. As it turns out, For anyone who does not know, there is a Rock Nation school at the Long Island University, Brooklyn, and this Rock Nation school is backed by Jay-Z, and there are a lot of people who feel as though they were duped by this school because they were given the promise of a debt-free education. And as it turns out, it wasn't a debt-free education. It was more like a tuition-free education, but they still had to incur all of the expenses for room and board and so on and so forth. So a lot of people are kind of, hollering about this. They're saying that it feels like they were lied to, and the school has since sort of issued a retraction or taken back some of the language, which would suggest that it is debt free, and made it clear that it isn't necessarily debt free, but that it is tuition free. So this says students claim Rock Nation School at LIU failed to deliver on graduate without debt promise. A group of students claim a New York school backed by Jay-Z underdelivered on its promise. According to the Gothamist, a group of students is alleging that the Rock Nation School of Music, Sports, and Entertainment at Long Island University, Brooklyn, overpromised on financial awards to fund their education. Several offer letters the students have received from the school describe incentives such as a full tuition scholarship and financial grants that would allow them to graduate without debt. However, the letters did not mention that the financial awards would not cover housing costs or certain academic fees, which can add up to more than $22,000 a year. I am pleased to share that you have been awarded a Hope full tuition scholarship. This scholarship, combined with financial grants, will allow you to graduate without debt. As a Hope Scholar, you don't have to worry about tuition charges, an email from the school's academic advisor read. One student, Justice Stevenson, admits the offer appeared too good to be true, but ultimately she moved forward and pursued a degree in vocal performance in fall 2021 under a Hope Scholarship, which was granted to the highest need students. According to a former employee who requested to remain anonymous, around 50 students were admitted under the Hope Scholarship during the 2021, which was its launch year. I remember being just generally conflicted about school, and then coming across this school made me feel a sense of security, Stevenson expressed. It was a full scholarship immediately. It was a music school, which is iconic and the dream, and Jay-Z is involved. Stevenson is now a part of the 2025 graduating class and will be walking away with $5,000 in debt, reduced from $26,000, a far cry from what appeared to be a promise of graduating without debt. This was the case for at least a dozen students who collected debt between $5,000 and $39,000. When I saw that I still had to pay money and then take out extra loans so I could have my room and board paid for, it was very, very misleading, explained Ashley Barksdale, a Hope Scholar who owes LIU over $22,000 per the Gothamist. Some of the students became homeless due to the housing fees or made the decision to drop out or transfer schools. Ajaya Thomas was a Hope Scholar who transferred to another university to continue her studies in veterinary medicine after finding out she owed $19,000 to LIU. Clarifying the confusion around the school's cost, LIU marketing chief Jackie Nealon says that students should have received letters stating that they would graduate tuition debt-free, although Nealon did not share such a document with the Gothamist to verify. This also conflicts with the students' understanding of graduating without debt, as letters shared with the outlet did not appear to reference that these other fees are not covered under the award's terms. Upon admission to the university, Hope Scholarship recipients receive an offer letter from the university that outlines the full tuition scholarship and any student obligations, Nealon told the outlet. The offer letter also expressly includes that neither university fees nor housing costs are included in the scholarship. However, the Gothamist notes an online archive reflects the school did change its language around its Hope Scholarship from debt-free education to a tuition-free education in 2023. So that pretty much gives us the gist of this. Obviously, I feel as though they realize that they faux pas, because if they didn't faux pas, why change the language on that letter? So what do you think about this, man? I thought that this was an interesting story. I think that these kids were sold a bag of goods. Words do matter, and tuition free does not mean the same thing as debt free. But what do you think about what's going on with this situation and how these kids now are indebted when they thought that they'd be able to graduate without being as such?
It's on one hand, I do feel sorry for them. It sucks. If they was under the impression of, but on the other hand, your college students. So part of you, I don't. Hey, listen, man. There was bullets flying when I was in college, bruh. When it came to the Pell Grants and this grant, and I had to make sense of that stuff. I had to know what the hell was going on. And so every semester there was, something I had to figure out what was going on, what I'm being charged, what I'm gonna have to pay back. Lord have mercy. So every semester, bro, it was an adventure. I don't understand, and I don't see how some of these people got into this situation to where they were just completely oblivious. Hey, I'm on the Jay-Z thing, so I should be, I'm on a Jay-Z thing, so let me run it up. And, let me, I don't know what their thought process was for this. So a part of it comes off as a bit negligent. I'm sure there were others that were a part of this program that figured out that, y'all just met my tuition. So, okay, I still got to pay for this book. Yeah, you still got to pay for that book, So I'm sure if you had an issue with it, that should have been raised back then. Whenever you were going through this. So for people to get into this situation where they're owing up to $39,000, I don't know if they felt like they were going to get paid back on the back end, like they was fronting and taking these loans and saying, "Hey, well, I'm in the Jay-Z program, so I'm accruing debt, but they said I was going to leave debt free, so let me run it up." So I don't know what their thought pattern was, but it should have been a situation where they did a little bit more due diligence, especially as a college student. I would expect these people to know what they're being charged. And I don't know how they were getting to this point to where they were actually accruing debt when they thought that they shouldn't be accruing none at all. At the first inkling of a debt, I would have started asking questions. And it's like, hey, man, I thought this was supposed to be debt free. Why is this popping up on my thing like this? Like I owe y'all. And it's like, oh, no. We pay for your classes. We didn't pay for your room and board. Okay, that's semester one. So from there, I'm not running it up and getting a tab and then hollering foul years later or a year later or whatever the hell. So, nah, man, I think Jay-Z's a creep. I think he's a scumbag. But in this situation here, it said what it said. And no, I guess the language wasn't clear. But at the same time, nah, man, I'm not siding with him on this. But hell, let's just do your thing. Do your due diligence. So legally speaking, if they do have a leg to stand on because the language was one way, okay, get your check. You know what I'm saying? But I really don't feel as though, you getting a tuition-free ride anywhere. It's pretty sweet. So I can't really feel too sorry for these people, honestly. Join the club, baby. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm racked up over here. So join the party, man. Ain't nobody got it, So join the club, man. So I still feel as though you guys are better off, especially for the ones that actually graduated. You guys are better off with your degree in singing. Good luck with that. But you still got a degree and you got something to show for it. But what are your thoughts, man, on these people out here actually under the assumption that they was going to leave college debt free, but actually accrued debt? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I do think that there is some accountability for calling something debt free when it's not. I think there's some accountability for that. Debt free does not mean the same thing as tuition free. Those two things mean entirely different things. So if students if students who are the beneficiary of these scholarships were being communicated that something is debt free, but in actuality it was actually tuition free, I do believe that the school should be responsible for that. However, practically speaking, as you suggested, um, you do know what your debt looks like. You do have access to this information. You do receive communication stating this is what the situation is. And you take that information and you act accordingly. It's not going to stop. So if you determine once you initially learn that this will result in some type of debt, that it's worth it for you to continue with the education nevertheless, then everything else at that point is your responsibility. I think this story going public um, is largely due to Jay-Z's ancillary involvement, because I highly doubt he's intimately involved. I think it's just a namesake and the whole Rock Nation thing, but it's not like he's on the board or serves in any sort of official capacity with the school. I highly doubt that. But with his name being tangentially involved, it can become a bit of a story because you can attach his name to it to make something out of it. But I do think that ultimately this is largely the responsibility of students who need to learn how to be adults. When I was a freshman in college, I knew the debt that I was incurring. I got the I got the letters. I got the letters. I got the emails. I was given access to my online profile. You set up your login. You log in. You see what your outstanding debt is. You have access to this information. You decide to continue on with this. It's kind of on you. So I'm in agreement with you on that. And again, I don't want to make light of $39,000 and $22,000. Like, no one wants to graduate with debt. I completely understand that.
Yeah, man.
But in the grand scheme of things, $22,000 isn't $100,000. $39,000 is not $150,000, $200,000. If you were privileged enough to go to school tuition free, you need to ensure that during your time there, you are maximizing on all of the resources available to you to ensure that you come out of this on the back end, making the income that is adequate enough to be able to comfortably afford that expense. And I feel as though if that is not what happens for you, you probably did college wrong, which is the mistake that many of us make when we do college wrong, which is not taking it seriously enough, and then you come out on the back end and you owe, and you can't do it comfortably. And so now you are seeking alternative means of being able to sidestep having to be responsible for those obligations. And then you get into all of these deferments and forbearances and having to, declare your income and all of these other sorts of creative hula hoop jumps that you go through in order to be able to minimize the damage. Cautionary tale with this situation. Make sure that during your time in these institutions, you are maximizing on all of the amenities, all of the resources, all of the programs, all of the things that you have available to you so that you can maximize the potential of your earning power. Because at that point, your debt will be an afterthought. But if you're not approaching school in that way and you're kind of going about it on a hope and a prayer, just kind of living in the moment and enjoying the experience, but not paying very much attention to what you're going to have to be responsible for coming out on the back end, I kind of feel like you have no one to blame for that but yourself. But again, I will also say, if the language said debt-free tuition, there's some responsibility. Debt-free college experience, there is some responsibility on the part of the school for that. Debt-free and tuition-free do mean two different things, as indicated by the fact that they literally went in and changed the language to clarify it's tuition-free and not debt-free. But other than that, this is a real world, big boy, big girl learning experience. get on these interwebs, learn get on some of these programs, figure out what you're going to have to do because you're going to have to pay that tax. Chickens are going to come home to roost as it did for all of us. So figure it out the best way you can and gear up because it's not going to go away.
No. But you do, that is a valid point, man. So and due to them changing it, they might do have a case. So it might be a situation where, you know, some lawyer, maybe the lawyer that was working with Dank DeMoss, can sit there and, and pick this case up. You know, because this might be something. You know, I looked up the average you know, yearly tuition at Long Island, right? It's Long Island University.
Long Island University, Brooklyn.
Oh, let me look up Brooklyn. But
Yeah.
I just looked up regular Long Island, but regular Long Island is 38,000. That was in 2022. So, you know, if them changing language in 2023 or whatever. But let me look up Brooklyn real quick. See if that changes anything. But it went up to 39,000.
Yeah, I don't doubt that because it's a music art school. So yeah.
So 39,000 for 1 year. So if you got that for free, I think that's a pretty sweet deal. So, but like you mentioned, them swapping out the language like that is an indication that this is quite confusing. So, yeah, man. So I'm not going to sit here and tell them to not pursue this further. I would say, I don't know what y'all were thinking. I would say that at the moment, especially when those first few, you know, things in the red came in, where it was like negative 1,500. It's like, what the hell is this? I would have went to the registrar's office or wherever and start asking questions.
Yeah.
You know, but for them to go, nope, I'm under the Jay-Z umbrella. He's going to pay this when I graduate. You know, that is a level of negligence that you should not be showing as a college student, you know. But yeah, man, but like you said, man, this is a big boy, big girl lesson. So you know, hopefully y'all learn. But y'all are in the big boy, big girl world. And if y'all want to take legal actions to get this expunged somehow, some way, especially them, you know, showing their hand by changing the verbiage, y'all do have a case. I would say that. But I would also say in anybody in any context where you guys feel as though you are getting a situation, like the person in the article said, they felt like it was too good to be true. Yeah, you might want to see what's going on there because most likely it is. And don't play the ignorance card and say, "Hey, I thought," you know, because not in every one of these cases you'll have a redeeming situation where you can actually, you know, get your money back, your time back, your effort back, you know. So I think this is just a word of the wise to anybody. Don't blindly sit there and think that you got something and never check on it, never see what's going on. You always have to do your due diligence as a person to make sure you're not getting screwed somehow, some way. So this is with any program, any contract you sign, any job you're doing. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into and check on things because you could be getting screwed. Because that's how a lot of these, you know, for instance, you know, rest in peace, Angie Stone. But, you know, that situation where she was hollering about where she just left stuff in her accountant's hands, you know, or she left stuff in whoever's hands, and she found out that she wasn't getting paid for X, Y, and Z for all of these years. And it's like that at no point whenever you have something out there like that, or a situation where there's finances, especially finances, all right, that you're just sitting there going, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. You got to check on things, do your due diligence to make sure you're not getting screwed, to make sure you're not getting charged, you know. So yeah, man. So I think this is a lesson for everybody to learn. But these college students here, hopefully they can get some type of redemption out of this. But if they don't, I'm not going to cry any tears about it.
Yeah, or just understand that there's actually no such thing as a free higher education. It just doesn't exist. I don't care if someone tells you you're going to graduate debt free. Look into that because in fair market capitalism, pretty much guarantees that there's no such thing as a free higher education. So just always take something like that with a grain of salt and do your due diligence to look into what it is that you're getting yourself into,
Yep.
because it doesn't exist. And the debt is going to come. And this is why I'm very, is, to me, in my opinion, college is not what it used to be. Um, I think gone are the days where the MO for attending college is to get the collegiate experience, and to sort of engage in that period of time where you can sort of um, learn about yourself. You're engaging in self discovery. These days, higher education is a strategic investment more than anything else, because of the rising cost of goods and services, and because of the exponentially rising cost of living in this country. You can no longer afford, if you're working class, middle class, if you're not wealthy slash rich, you can no longer afford to approach college with the idea in mind that you're going for this, you know, altruistic experience. It has to be something that you are intentional with and take very seriously in terms of what are you going for, because you need to make sure that you are going knowing you're going to come out the other end with debt, unless you take your time. I remember when I had a part-time job, I was cooking in a restaurant. I was in grad school at the time, and I was one of the guys who I worked with there. He was a server, and he and I were the same age. But I was in grad school, and he still had like 2 years left of undergrad. And one day we got into a conversation, and I asked him, I was like, "Bro, why is it taking you so long to finish?" And he was like, "Because I'm paying my way." I was like, "Well, why are you doing that?" And he was like, "So I don't graduate with debt." And at the time, I didn't understand how much of a genius he was for doing that. It wasn't until years later, after I graduated from grad school and I had all of this debt, that I realized he had the right idea in mind. But see, he was a very strategic, intentional thinker, and he didn't care about going to school to chase women, go to parties, and take net checks to do all of that other stuff. I'm just saying he didn't care about it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just speaking facts. He was one of those guys who didn't care about that stuff. And so, he graduated with no debt. And on top of that, he has a lucrative job. So my whole point in bringing that up is going to college with stern intention is more paramount now than it ever has been. We can no longer afford to go with this idea in mind that it's all about the experience and self discovery. You have to go in there and maximize every opportunity that you have available, every resource, every amenity, get involved with assistantships and programs, do what you have to do so that you can position yourself to maximize on your earning potential. That, in my opinion, has to be the most important thing when it comes to going to school, because the debt's going to be there. It's all about how you can minimize how much it impacts you.
Yeah, 1,000, man. So, yeah, man, let us know down in the comment section, guys. What are your thoughts on this? Do you guys feel any sympathy for these college students? Do you guys feel as though they were misled by Rock Nation? Personally, I do think they were misled, but I also believe, though, they should have done some due diligence on the back end and realized that they were getting charged immediately. But hey, man, I could be wrong. So let me know down in the comment section, guys. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Shouts out to Jay-Z. It is what it is, but I'll still always I'm still always ride for him. I can't get out of that. But I will also say Rock Nation School of whatever it's called, arts and entertainment and sports, whatever it's called. I am available as an adjunct professor. I am qualified. So if you are looking for adjunct professors, guest speakers, so on and so forth, I am available. So please hit me up.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro, I'm pretty sure you can do a lecture or two in there, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, why not? Hey man, y'all do better. Y'all, shouts out to all y'all going to college, man. The debt is gonna be there. Have a plan. That's all I can say is have a plan. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So DeMar DeRozan recently eliminated from playoff contention via the Sacramento Kings, is embroiled in some controversy because he got into a bit of a kerfluffle.
Hmm.
He got involved with a bit of fisticuffs with somebody at a restaurant in Calabasas out in California. This individual ran up on DeMar DeRozan with his phone ready to go, recording him, and DeMar DeRozan didn't really appreciate it. And so, he slapped the phone out of the guy's hand and they got involved physically. And DeMar DeRozan had to be separated from the guy. And the guy went to social media to post about it afterwards. And so, it's kind of a sticky situation for DeMar. But this says DeMar DeRozan throws hands after being accosted by Drake fan at sushi restaurant. NBA star DeMar DeRozan was involved in a physical altercation with a Drake fan that resulted in the supposed victim receiving medical attention. On Friday evening, DeRozan was having dinner at popular seafood restaurant Yumi Sushi in Calabasas when a man approached DeRozan at his table while recording the Sacramento Kings player with his phone flash on. In a clip that surfaced on social media, a man informs DeRozan that the restaurant security is attempting to kick him out of the restaurant while shining the phone's light directly in DeRozan's face. Seemingly startled, DeRozan shoves the phone out of the man's hand before getting out of his seat to confront him, repeatedly warning the man not to walk up on me as bystanders are heard attempting to defuse the situation. In another clip showing an alternate angle of the encounter, DeMar is seen on top of the man on the ground as onlookers attempt to separate the two. When the man regains his footing and attempts to retrieve his phone, DeRozan takes a swipe at him, causing a woman to urge DeRozan to move to another area inside the restaurant while keeping the man at bay. The alleged victim would post the footage captured on his phone during the incident on his social media account, also including video of him being taken to a local hospital for x-rays and further medical examination. So here is this guy's post here. It looks like this was on X, right? This was X, right? Yeah. So here's his post here. I just get attacked and body slapped by DeMar DeRozan. So you can't spell the guy's name. And then also says, I just get attacked. I don't, these people need to learn how to write. Don't meet your heroes, kids. I don't think at Champagne Poppy, which is Drake's social media handle, will like this behavior. I think Drake won the rap battle. And then here's all of these goofy hashtags. So here is this guy's. I'm not going to play all of this because it just doesn't deserve the whole thing to be played.
Agreed.
But here is a brief snippet of this guy posting the video on his X account, which it's the angle of him holding the phone, walking up to DeMar, and then DeMar slaps it out of his hand, and then you hear the scuffle in the background.
Yeah, DeMar, they're trying to kick me out for no reason. Come on, man. Don't walk up. Let me get my phone. Let me get my phone. I'll walk up on you. Let me get my phone.
This is society now, bro.
It really is.
All right, you sure you don't want to drive?
Know exactly what's going on until they do an X-ray at the hospital. Yeah. But I mean, it seems like you got good motor function in your head. You got a good pulse. You have some
clout chasing losers, man.
Yeah, man. Like, what is this?
So that's all checking out. So that's the thing to give you some sense of comfort. Yes, sir.
He's literally being examined and recording at the same time.
Yeah, like flexing his hands as if he's injured.
All right, I can't take anymore. It goes on to say a 6-time All-Star, NBA All-Star, DeRozan made a return to his home state during the off season, being acquired by the Kings in a three-team trade involving the Bulls and the Spurs. So that's pretty much the gist of this, man. This video down here is another angle of the whole altercation taking place. Of course, this link will be in the description of this video if you want to check that out for yourself, but I don't feel the need to play that. Y'all pretty much get the idea of what's going on here. And yeah, the article says that this guy is a Drake fan, which does not surprise me given his behavior. But yeah, what do you think about that, bro? What do you think about this whole situation? This guy doing this, man, this clout chasing moron.
I mean, honestly, I feel as though that I don't know how I would have reacted in that situation. I personally, I did expect a little bit more from DeMar in the sense that don't get yourself caught up, in a situation where you can get sued potentially by a troll. But at the same time, I wasn't there. It wasn't me. I don't know how I would have reacted. So, I can Monday morning quarterback this if I want. So, but this is a situation, unfortunately, like I said, man, this is like the signs of the times that people are doing literally anything for clout right now. That guy want to be on so hard. He wants to be well known, no matter what it takes. So bad. There was a guy, I don't even know his name, but he would go around literally trolling people, NBA games and stuff like that. It'll occasionally come across my feed. The DeMarcus Cousins guy. Yeah, I don't know if that's his real name, but he would be running around saying he's DeMarcus Cousins. And he would troll people at NBA. I mean, A1 troll. Now I think he went Christian. I think he stopped trolling and stuff like that. But just A1 trolling, bro. Like, not a real human level of trolling. And so this guy is coming across as, a student of that, in the sense that he'll do anything to anyone because it's supposed to be funny. This isn't funny to me. Actually, this is dangerous. So DeMar, I know one thing that he does have on his side in this context is that, hey man, he feared for his life type of situation. And he felt as though his life was in, imminent danger. But once he found out that it wasn't, I'm pretty sure he didn't know what was going on. All he knew, there was some clown running up in his face, flashing a light in his face. So I'm pretty sure, legally, he has something to stand on for trying to defend himself. Because I'll be damned if this clout chasing dirtbag gets a bag out of this because DeMar DeRozan put hands on him. So hopefully, DeMar gets this situated legally. But yeah, man, this is just trashy internet behavior, bro, that deserves no clout. And thank you for not showing the rest of that, because he's just trying to self-promote. This guy's an absolute clown and a dangerous human being to society. Honestly, we don't need this kind of behavior, and we don't need copycats of this. I hope that guy does not get anything, because that is some grade A shardy behavior. But what are your thoughts, bro, on that clown running up in DeMar DeRozan's face and DeMar DeRozan putting hands on him? What are your thoughts, bro?
I think it's disgusting. It is the male equivalent of women who go to the gym and post pics of themselves for the purposes of acquiring social media attention. Now, they'll tell you they do it to show off their fitness journey and to be inspirational. Yeah, they'll tell you they're doing it to show off, to display their fitness journey and be an inspiration. But they sure as hell make sure that they are wearing very flattering gym attire while they're doing it, and posing in particular poses that accentuate their features while they're taking these pictures, and they are going to post them onto Instagram and to their other social media networks for the express purposes of gaining internet attention. Because what they want to do, what they want to do is they want to parlay their internet attention currency into actual currency, so that they can create a life for themselves in which they can be paid to do nothing. That is my belief why they do this. This is the male equivalent of this behavior. This is the male equivalent of the woman who shows up to the gym every day, works out for 30 to 40 minutes, and then spends the next hour taking pictures of themselves in front of a mirror. This is male attention seeking behavior.
Yeah.
Because some guys who are on the spectrum are gonna go in the gym and take gym selfies, but for the most part, that's a woman's lane. That's a feminine lane. So how can men occupy this space? By doing stuff like this, trolling, doing things publicly to incite reaction so that they can get the uptick on the algorithm to their channel. And why is that valuable to them? So that they can attempt to parlay that algorithm attention from attention currency into actual currency. Why? Because they also want to be paid to do nothing, which is something that new humans want to do. They want to take internet attention and figure out creative ways to leverage it in order to create a lane for themselves in which they can be paid to do nothing. Why is the podcasting market become so oversaturated? Is it because every podcast offers some valuable insight to the masses? Not necessarily. It's because people are flooding the market with their own variety of some sort of podcasting content because they want to try to get on with it, get out of the 9-to-5 grind, and be paid to do nothing. That's what people want to do. That is why the sexual marketplace today has proliferated to such an exponential degree, because women have seized upon it as a means to be able to be paid to do nothing other than exist. And this is that kind of behavior in a nutshell. It's clownish, and like you, I hope this guy doesn't receive a penny for doing this. It's very weak beta behavior. This is an individual who probably does not contribute to society in any meaningful way. And not only does he not contribute to society in any meaningful way, he also does not see anything wrong with not contributing to society in any meaningful way. So long as he can get on and be paid to do nothing, everything else can fall by the wayside. These are signs of the times. I completely agree. And if the world saw things the way that I see them, people like him would be charged instead of DeMar DeRozan.
Agreed.
But that's not the world that we live in. It'll be DeMar who is extracted for resources and exploited by a ridiculously flawed, janky system who has stipulated that clown fiestas like this guy are entitled to certain inalienable rights. That being that they can run up on people like DeMar doing things like this and should not have to pay any consequences for doing so. It's ridiculous. I can't stand this kind of nonsense. I think if what the article said is true, I am not shocked that this guy is a Drake fan. I fancy a lot of Drake fans as beta males myself personally. So I am not shocked to hear that he is a Drake fan if this is true. Not to bring Drake into the conversation, I'm just saying. But this is ridiculous. And this is new human behavior, to be sure. People want to be paid to do nothing, and they will seek all of the means in the world in order to figure out how to be able to do that. If this guy gained 200-300 followers on his silly X account as a result of posting that video, in his eyes, he won. And unfortunately, that is the world that we live in.
Yeah, 1,000, bro. Couldn't have said that any better myself. The only people that I actually think that finds this type of stuff is humorous is, preteens, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. They're the only ones that actually gravitate towards I would assume, towards like trolling content like this. I think this is like a phase that kids go through when they're growing up, that they find stuff like that funny. These new kids. So they would watch trolling content, but I think they all grow out of it for the most part. This is just, and honestly, I haven't seen this type of behavior in a while. So for this guy to be trying to do this, in today's day and age, yeah, man, I like you, man. I hope this guy doesn't get a penny. And yeah, I think people like him should be charged. I think what he did was assault. So yeah, I think what needs to happen, especially with this internet stuff, because a situation like this, I mean, I think this is very clear. If this was held in front of a court of peers, that people would actually go, no, man, you're the one who instigated this.
Right.
He's the guy that felt threatened somehow, some way, with some guy flashing something in his face. It wouldn't qualify, I don't believe, as assault or some type, but definitely a form of harassment or whatever. Like, the guy should get something. I wish DeMar could press charges.
Yeah, for real. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But this guy, I'm pretty sure he's going to try to finagle this and try to get a check out of it. That's why he was sitting there flexing his hand and, no, I don't need to catch an Uber home. I'm going to take the ambulance. Boy, you is trash. So, hey, man, I don't think this is everybody that's young. I don't think this is, I don't think this is all new people, but this is definitely new people behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 lashes to this bastard. And I hope he never gets the oxygen that he wants out of this situation. I'm pretty sure he's going to do other things to chase clout. Yeah, man, this is definitely a case in my book of when chasing clout goes wrong.
Well, yeah. Well, that clout chasing in and of itself is just something that people just shouldn't do.
It always goes.
So yeah, in my opinion, I don't believe that there is a such thing as clout chasing going right. Therefore, there is no need to qualify when it goes wrong, because to me, doing it, period, is wrong. I can't stand it. And I hear all of the people now, well, you a brokey, because to a lot of people out there who worship money as their god, if this gets this guy a check, to those people, he won. And I sound like the fool who's complaining about it when when he made a check off of this. And I think that is a philosophical difference in the way that we see these situations, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that. I don't mind being on one side of the philosophical aisle. I do believe that this is reprehensible behavior. And yeah, we do tend to speak in generalities when it comes to topics of this nature. So it is not to suggest that it is everyone who's doing it. It's an increasing amount of people, however, who are doing it. And it's an increasing amount of people who haven't been doing it, who are now considering to do it.
Which is disgusting.
Yes, it's more and more people who are accepting this as typical behavior. And that's what I find problematic. And guys like this shouldn't even be procreating, as far as I'm concerned. I'm serious. Like, he shouldn't be able to have children. He shouldn't be able to get married. I don't know his personal situation, but such a beta way of doing things. A guy built like that shouldn't be married, shouldn't be having women, shouldn't get married, shouldn't be having children. And I know that we don't live in a totalitarian society where I can stipulate that is the law. but if it were, I would institute that immediately. People like this guy are a drain on society. He needs to be locked in a gulag so that the rest of us can get back to contributing to society in meaningful ways.
Drake fans, y'all looking crazy right now. Y'all down bad. Y'all just took another loss for no reason. Nobody asked for this loss. but here this guy come volunteering to take L's for the entire community. So I know there's some cool Drake fans out there, possibly, but hey, this guy is definitely not making a good case for you all. But hey, what do you guys think down in the comment section? You guys think we're a little too harsh on this troll, whatever the hell his name is? Or are you guys with us, siding with DeMar DeRozan that, hey, man, this creep needs to get the hell out of here? And he's lucky he didn't run up on me because I would have called the cops on his ass. Let us know down in the comment section, guys. Love to hear it.
Throw him in the gulag.
Unbelievable.
Throw his ass in the gulag. That guy's going to have children someday.
I hope not. He's not even into women, so. But
facts.
Yeah, man. Oh, bruh. Talk about into women. All right. Sheesh.
Oh my gosh. So Shannon Sharp, friend of the channel.
Yeah, of course.
He's been sued for SA for assault of the sexual variety. Apparently there's a woman who is unmuting and seeking damages in the amount of $50 million from Shannon Sharp, who is alleging that he did all the things to her. She's saying that there was assault. She's saying that there was RAPE. She is saying that all of these things took place. Shannon Sharp is the assailant, and Shannon Sharp is fighting back. Shannon Sharp is saying these allegations are erroneous, and he's putting receipts on it via his legal team, releasing very explicit text messages between the two in order to make it very clear that it was a consensual relationship between the two, and that there was nothing unlawful going on. There was no
foul play.
Foul. Yeah, I'm trying to Jonathan Majors. There was no Jonathan Majors going on.
Oh damn! What did that bastard say? Oh, he aggressed her.
Yeah. Shannon Sharp is saying he did not aggress this woman. And his proof is by releasing these sexually charged text messages. Now, we are a family-friendly channel.
We are here.
So what I am going to attempt to do, I might not do a very good job. I am going to attempt to read some of these. I might slip up though and say something that is non-family friendly, but I am going to do my best to read a few of these just so that we can paint the picture here. Okay. So this says Shannon Sharp shares alleged text from sexual assault accuser. Put a big black baby in me.
Oh Lord.
Shannon Sharp's attorney, Lanny J. Davis, issued a response to the lawsuit accusing his client of sexual assault and battery. Released on Sharp's X and Instagram account, the statement includes sexually explicit text that the NFL Hall of Famer and media personality allegedly received from his accuser. Davis accuses her lawyer, Tony Busby, of orchestrating a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharp for millions of dollars. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, this woman is claiming Shannon Sharp aggressed her. Shannon Sharp is saying it is consensual, and part of the way to make it clear that it was consensual from Shannon Sharp's side is to release a lot of these text messages, which contextualize their rapport, their interaction, and how it was consensual and that no one was being forced to do anything against their will. All right, so this is said statement, and the statement includes some of these text messages. All right, so again, I'm going to do my best, people, but I might slip up and utter some words because there's a lot of explicitness going on here.
Damn.
All right, so here we go. And I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing because it's kind of lengthy, but we'll see. So we'll see. Statement by Lanny J. Davis, counsel to Shannon Sharp. So it starts with the text messages. Gabrielle Zuniga, this is the woman's name. Gabrielle Zuniga, in a text message to Shannon Sharp, October 7th, 2023. I know you miss this big juicy ass. $25K for each cheek.
Oh Lord.
Gabrielle Zuniga in a text message to Shannon Sharp, January 1st, 2025. This lawsuit, filed by Gabrielle Zuniga and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharp for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed. In her effort to extract a large financial settlement, Ms. Zuniga presented Mr. Sharp with a secretly recorded video of a consensual sexual encounter. We believe the video has been heavily edited and taken entirely out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full, unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharp's legal team. To set the record straight, we are releasing several of Ms. Zuniga's own explicit text messages to Mr. Sharp that clearly indicate the nature of their relationship was consensual and sexual in nature, and in many cases initiated by her with specific and graphic requests. Contrary to the allegations she makes in her lawsuit, consensual sex continued until January 2nd, 2025, the day after she asked for $25,000 per cheek. As quoted above from her text message to Mr. Sharp, there are other examples of text from Ms. Zuniga, for example. All right, people. So, parental advisory warning, just in case I slip up here.
Oh Lord.
Only if you put that baby gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want to me. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharp, November 23rd, 2023. I want to put my tongue in your backside hole and then marry you. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharp, January 12th, 2024. That's my daddy. F, I want you to put a big black baby in me.
That's racist as hell.
Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharp, August 6, 2024. You better crave it because you're going to be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me.
Oh, wow.
Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharp, August 11, 2024. These messages are just a sampling of a broader pattern of graphic sexual communications initiated by Zuniga. The evidence paints a clear picture. This was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and fantasy scenarios explicitly requested by Ms. Zuniga. The edited tape that Zuniga secretly taped and showed to Mr. Sharp during her blackmail attempt tries to falsely portray, as a result of this editing and out of context from prior text messages, that the sexual activity was not consensual. But Mr. Sharp now believes her secret taping was all part of her planned setup as part of her blackmail scheme, as distorted by her edited tape, a copy of which she refused to make available to Mr. Sharp or his counsel. Mr. Sharp categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of the R word, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. He stands firmly by the truth and is prepared to fight these false claims vigorously in court. He looks forward to vindication through due process and a judgment based on the facts and the law. The woman is seeking $50 million in damages. So we don't need to go on with the article. That gives you the pretty idea of what is going on here. So, bro, this is messy right here, man. But what do you think about this?
I mean, this first of all, man, he must. I mean, that's pretty wild stuff for somebody to be texting you, man. That is. Shannon Sharp is in it. I mean, I can't be surprised. You know, he does come off as, you know, because we talked about it before when we were talking about him and how he talks about dating, you know, nowadays and stuff like that. And, you know, the situation was, I think we both came to the same type of agreement that, you know, he still acts like he's in college. You know, he still acts like he's a young man out here, you know, trying to do his thing. And so I'm not surprised that he's still out here, you know, paying for the box. and into some kinky stuff. So I'm pretty sure some of the stuff the lady was talking about in those text messages went down. And he did that there. But I think that this, to me, overall, comes across as a situation where, guys, it's not a game. It's not a game out here. It's not a game out here. Especially for these celebrity dudes. I can't call it. I'm not going to sit here and say and victim shame. But to me, this does come across as a situation that they did have an understanding until they didn't anymore. And once that went out the window, that she was plotting on it, or tried to plan something possibly. Who knows? But those text messages, to me, they come across as somebody that is into the role, but her lawsuit was coming across as basically she was coerced and forced to go, to live like that. So all in all, man, for these celebrities, man, I really think that they need to watch what they're doing. Y'all can't be out here living like this. Paying for box is ridiculous. You're not paying solid people. You're paying people who have relations for money. And I don't care how much you're paying them. They're not solid people. I don't care what kind of clothes they have on, what kind of car they drive. I mean, they're using underworld money to buy those things. So just because they're doing that or having relations with other celebrities doesn't make them credible. You're dealing with people that are hurt people because they're having relations for money. So for Shannon Sharp, any one of these people out here that's out here living like this, man, I really think that these guys need to shut it down, and shut it down, and or cover yourselves better. I think part of this situation as well is that this lady refused to sign an NDA. And that should have been his red flag there. The other ones that go for it apparently be signing their NDAs. And this lady here, wanting that big black baby in her, she was definitely coming across as someone that had ulterior motives, at least from the baby stuff. She wanted a check, basically. And I think that's also why they released those certain ones, because this lady's coming across like she want money. And yeah, bruh, ain't no cheeks worth $25K per. I see why he ghosted her after that. And I'm pretty sure not too long after that, the Michelle tape came out. So he probably got some cheaper cheeks. So knowing that her bag was gone, she had something in the holster, apparently, allegedly. But all in all, man, I think Shannon, man, I don't know if he's going to have to come off something. He might not get the whole 50 million, but he still might have to settle. And, that's the reason for setting such a high bar on this situation. Even if they settle and he gets five, he still have to come off 5 or 10 million. That's a lot of money to pay for some rancid cheeks. But what are your thoughts, man, on Shannon Sharp out here releasing these text messages, trying to clear his name? And, just the whole situation in general, Shannon getting caught up in these wild allegations. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, shouts out to MM and Wake and Bake Radio on the chat. Shouts out to Wake and Bake Radio. Wake and Bake Radio, he's been following us for a minute. He said, I feel like this is a humiliation ritual since he's about to get this huge contract.
Also agree about that. I agree.
Yeah, this guy, bro. So he goes on his routinely on Nightcap, This is why people like Shannon Sharp shouldn't be listened to. This is a clear sign for why he shouldn't be listened to. When he's on Nightcap, and sometimes when he's doing his interviews on the Shay Shay thing, they'll get into relationships. Shannon Sharp has all sorts of insight on how to do relationships properly. He has a lot of advice and takes on what guys should do and not do, what guys should look for and not look for, what this means and what that doesn't mean in terms of women's behavior. He has a lot of insight. But what you have to learn, what you have to understand is insight from him comes from his prism of his, it comes from the prism of relationships being transactional. If you are not living in a world where you're literally paying for vagina, you are listening to the perspective of an individual who is not comprehensible, juxtaposed to the way that you live. It's why you shouldn't listen to them. It's why you shouldn't listen to any of these people with any of these ridiculous opinions on stuff. You know, you can throw people like Shaq in there. Shaq pays for vagina. Shannon Sharp very clearly pays for vagina. You know, when I first read those texts, it said $25,000 per cheek. Now, that to me meant one of two things. It either meant she literally costs $50,000 per session, or it means that he's going to pay for her surgery. And she wants one of those top-notch surgeries where it basically costs like 25 racks per cheek. Either way, you're dealing with a woman who is extracting you for resources, and in return, what you receive is access to her vagina. A person who lives like that, in no way, shape, or form, should ever fix their face to be giving relationship advice. Ever. But he'll go on his various platforms and he will wax poetically about his relationship perspectives. Mm-hmm. And you have people like him who are flooding this relationship commentary market with these distorted views on relationships, which are rooted in their vantage point of being people who literally pay for access to women. Look, bro, I'm not here to listen. Shannon Sharp got a bag. He make money, whatever. If that's how you want to live your life, I personally do not believe that just because you have I don't believe that just because you have self-actualized financially, that it means you have to live in a world where you're paying for access to women. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept that. I never will. I never will. He's living that way because he wants to be. He wants to pay. He wants to pay for it. Yeah, I'm inclined. Like, I want to say he's old enough to know that there's another way. I want to say that, but he clearly does not see that there is no other way, because he is treating himself in relation to women the same way that guys 30 years younger than him do with money.
Right.
He's doing what the 20-year-old rappers do.
Right.
He's doing what the 20-year-old NBA players and NFL players do. Right. Which is charge everything to the game.
Yes.
It's like, bro, you've self-actualized. You're in your 50s. If you were really about what you speak on your platforms, you would understand your value and know that a woman should have to earn her way into having access to your resources. Not being given access to it merely because she exists with a vagina. But you're doing this you're doing the same thing that the tweens do. But you'll get on your platforms and you'll talk about your relationship advice. It's ass backwards. It's ridiculous. So as much as I want to come to his defense, because I do believe he's dealing with an extortion artist, at the end of the day, my sensibilities compel me to take it back to holding the person who is ultimately responsible for this, which in my opinion is Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, he put himself in this.
He absolutely put himself in this situation. Yeah. There are countless women who probably look as good as this chick who will give it up for free.
Yes.
Because you're Shannon Sharp.
I don't get it, dog.
They will give it up for free because you're Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, the however many $1 million man on ESPN First Take, and you got your whole media thing that you're trying to get off the ground.
I don't get it, dog.
But you're sitting around paying these sex workers. And then you have the unmitigated gall to give relationship advice to guys who don't pay for sex workers the way you do. Like, bro, you can't make sense of this. You cannot make sense of it. You cannot be a guy who pays for access to women, but then give advice on how men should get women. What you are essentially doing is telling them how to get women in the way you get them, which is, I pay for it. Here's how you should pay for it too. Very, very dangerous rhetoric, man. This to me is all on Shannon Sharp. As far as I'm concerned, if he does ultimately end up having to, pay some sort of a penance for this financially, I'm not going to have any sympathy for him. He doesn't have to be doing this, and he chooses to do it anyway. There's billions of these women in the world who don't nearly do this kind of stuff, and you're electing to get with these women, and then you parade around acting as though you're somebody who would do things differently if given the opportunity, or if women were different. Women are different. You're the one who's paying for women. That's you.
Right.
You're making this choice to do that, bro.
Correct.
You're the one who's making this choice. And so now I'm supposed to sit here and believe he's a victim? I'm not buying it. So as far as I'm concerned, he gets everything that comes with this. He is perpetuating a very dangerous dynamic between men and women currently. It's very damaging. And he is an agent of this kind of transactional nature that men and women have elected to invoke when it comes to how we deal with one another. He's an agent of this. And if he wants to live his life that way, that is his prerogative. But don't poison the well by getting on your platforms and giving your ridiculous relationship advice, because it really holds no weight.
I agree, dog, and that's what I was saying. Like, it was, I forgot what the story was when we was talking about him, man. But we both came to like the conclusion, like, we expect more maturity from somebody that's in his position, but he's talking like you said, one of these young ball players that, basically he just never evolved. Like he never left being a locker room guy, and whatever. And then, get on the pod and talk cash money. Like how he out here slaying these ladies as if he's not paying.
Right.
But then, now it's come to find out that you out here paying for the box. That will always, I think I don't get it. And I can't sit here and act like, I can try to understand. The parts of me that try to understand it is still lame. It's still lame because it's like, oh, dog, you're Shannon Sharp. At this point, everybody knows who you are. And like you said, man, them aunties will give it up. The young girls will give it up.
The young girl, yeah, it ain't even age, because the young chicks will do it too.
Yeah. So, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's a situation where I'm pretty sure they come wallet first. You know what I'm saying? Where it's a situation where they see something they want, they try to shoot their shot for whatever reason. Women aren't really interested or whatever, and they come with the wallet. Next is like, hey man, I'll pay your rent. And even in that context, bro, it's like, are these the context you want to hit? This how you want it? Like, she doing this for rent money? Like, at that point, you're not doing it for the love of the women. You're doing it for another reason, and it's getting weird. And that's why they would do it in a situation where they have all these resources. They would have women throw themselves at them in whatever position, and they still would bypass that to go pay for somebody that don't want them. That is actually ridiculous. And to speak on what Bruh said in the chat, man, I took the Michelle situation as a humiliation type of situation, but who knows what's going on with this? But it's definitely taxing his ass. So that 300, and because this is coming right when he's getting that 300 million, whatever he's supposed to be getting, and they're taking 50,000 of this, 50 million of this. So they're taxing his ass immediately as soon as he got that paycheck. And you know how it worked, man. 300 million is more like 150. Now they're going to take off another 50 million right off top. So now that 300 million is more like 100 million. So he can take this to court and fight it, put his lawyers involved in it, and X, Y, and Z, man. He's still going to come out on the back end of this settlement somewhere. Because there's so much ambiguity with this situation. They sitting around trying to get ahead of this tape that she allegedly edited. Man, when they start getting in court and start playing that stuff, bro, you're gonna start looking crazy. Because if you're into some kink fetish stuff where you want to, you know what I'm saying, choke women out and get into all that other stuff, man, like what's going on, man? But again, bro, like once people start getting to that like how bro on that OF model wanted to get wrapped up and stuff, man. You know, once you out here and you been paying for it for 30 years, like Shay has, just doing regular doggy style and missionaries and from the side just don't cut it anymore. Hey man, you want to be an aggressor. You want to get into role play. You want to get into other weird stuff, man, and that's how you get here. So, yeah, man, wild stuff. That's what I said, man. For these guys out here, these celebs, man, these are not safe waters you guys are treading in. There's all kinds of things come out, and that's why I told you in that Neo situation, bro. I was like, it's smart for him to get ahead of this. Said, hey, I'm not forcing these women to be here. You know what I'm saying? You gotta say that nowadays because situations like this can pop up where this woman looked like she was all in, at least according to Shannon Sharp. Now all of a sudden she was forced and coerced. So, yeah, man, these are wild times. But again, you get what you know when you're dealing with those kinds of women. Yeah. What's stopping them from doing that? You know, just get you a regular woman at Home Depot, bro. Pull up in there and say, I run Club Shay Shay. You know what I'm saying? We close at 2 something. And then, you know, she ready for it. But hey, man, who knows, bro? All I know is Shannon Sharp, yet again, looking crazy out here, man. I mean, what a polarizing man. He's in the news every other month at this point, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think when you've made a habit of, you know, you acquire sex, you acquire women. What was I about to say? Like, you know, his you know, the way that he acquires women, or the way that you acquire women, is by dealing with women whose relationship with men is their business.
Yeah.
Like what she's attempting to do to him is essentially her job.
Mm-hmm.
Like her job is being an extractor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, financially, monetarily, resource wise, and her extracting tool is her existence, is sex, is her vagina. So she's doing her job, and you're complaining or trying to fight against the fact that she's doing her job. Like, what are you doing? Like, if I'd walk into Home Depot and they try to sell me a screwdriver, I'm not going to be appalled. It's a home department store. They've got screwdrivers here. Their job is to try to sell me tools. If they attempt to sell me a screwdriver, I am not going to feel affronted because they tried to sell me a screwdriver. If I didn't want to be sold a screwdriver, I wouldn't have walked into Home Depot. And what people like him are doing is walking into Home Depot and getting mad because the store is trying to sell him a screwdriver. Why is the way that you go about acquiring women and sex paying for it and dealing with sex workers exclusively? You know, Shannon Sharp is a part of a bigger problem, in my opinion, of men who have been conditioned to believe that their value juxtaposed to women is inherently less, and that a woman's value is inherently more, and therefore that more is valuated with an asking price that we must therefore be willing to pay. He is a part of the perpetuation of that idea by his actions and his behavior. And he is not the only one. A lot of guys in his position are capitulating to this, and they are doing a grave disservice to men everywhere. See, that's my issue. My issue isn't what Shannon Sharp does. My issue is the normalization of the behavior and the fact that now we're creating this environment in which women are going to believe that this is commonplace. Don't come up to me thinking that you're going to extract me or handle me in a transactional way. It's not going to work. I'm not built like that. And just because you see these weirdos doing this doesn't mean that they speak for every man, because trust me, they don't. But then again, I probably wouldn't run up against that because I'm not dealing with transactional women.
Correct.
And you can choose to not deal with transactional women. You don't have to deal with transactional women. And by the way, transactional women aren't the only women who are into the kinky stuff. if you're trying to go down that road, if you're into that role play and all of that other stuff, there's the non-transactional off the grid women who are about that life too. Just like there's the non-transactional off the grid women who aren't going to make you pay for it just because they exist.
They're into women that aren't into them, and that's it's something there at the very core of it all. Because I agree, but he doesn't want to have relations with a woman that's into him so much that she would do a kinky thing. He's into paying for somebody that's not into him at all to do these kinky things.
That's weird.
And he's attracted to women that aren't attracted to him, that look at him like a wallet, which is weird. And that's what I'm saying. Like, trying to get into the mindset of what makes them do this is like, at some point, because I get it if it's like, hey man, I'm just trying to get my rocks off. But there's women out here for free that you can get your rocks off for. So why drop $10K?
Well, it's misleading, because even if that is your MO, why openly pay lip service to the idea that you're on something else? And that's the problem. Get off my lawn with that crap, bro.
Nah, for real, bro.
You're not a relationship guy. You're not a marriage guy. You're not I would get married, I would commit if these conditions were met. No, you're just not built for it.
No, he's not into that.
You're not. Yeah, so stop trying to convince the world you are. You're paying for it the way the rest of these weirdo guys are. The way that the rest of your cohort is, you're on the same vibration, bro. You are. And you're peddling your ridiculous rhetoric to unsuspecting people who may or may not know no better. I don't know, man. I just can't feel sorry for this guy, and I can't jump to his defense. I can't do it. He's in this position willfully. When you're dealing with women like this, they're not forcing you. You're dealing with them because you want to be there. So just be honest and live in your truth. I'm crying foul, crying victim, and doing all of this stuff. She's extracting you because she's doing her job.
Yeah, man.
You walked into Home Depot, and now you're trying to, sidestep them selling you a power tool, when that's what Home Depot's job is, selling you power tools.
Hey, bro, agreed, man. But hey, guys, let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Y'all feel as though we were too harsh on Shannon? Man, y'all think we harsh on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Or hey, man, do you feel as though this is just a wild situation overall? But what are y'all's thoughts on Shannon Sharp dropping these text messages? What was in those text messages? And how do you guys feel as though Shannon Sharp got himself in this mess to begin with, man? This is a wild situation. Shout out to Wake and Bake Radio, for commenting. And guys, we do this every Tuesday night, man. So come join the shenanigans, guys, while we consciously approach these these weirdos.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
Crazy stuff.
I am not. No shouts out to Shannon Sharp, bro. You get lashes for this one, bro. Sorry.
Yeah. 1,000 of them, bro. You know what I'm saying? 25K, bro.
And last but not least, we have a viral story involving NFL wide receiver AJ Brown, who was the victim of grand theft. Is this grand theft? What exactly is grand theft?
I'll look that up, but I think this will qualify as grand theft because it's in the thousands of dollars, whatever they stole. I would say that.
So AJ Brown had his vehicle stolen, and the person who stole his vehicle has since been caught and arrested. But that wasn't before AJ Brown hopped on to social media to issue a threat to the individual who stole his car. So it says Philadelphia Eagles star AJ Brown's stolen car reportedly found, suspect arrested. Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver AJ Brown's stolen car was reportedly located on Monday, and a suspect was arrested just hours after the NFL star issued a cryptic message to the alleged thief on social media. Fox 29 Philadelphia reported on Monday that Camden, New Jersey police found Brown's car and took a suspect into custody. Prior to the arrest, Brown took to his Instagram story to talk directly to the thief after his car was reportedly taken on Sunday night. So I'm not going to read this because I'm just going to play the video anyway. Complex reached out to the Camden Police Department for more information, but they were unavailable for immediate comment. This is not the first time Brown has made headlines for social media output. In 2023, his Instagram clapped back to Kansas City wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, who Brown memorably referred to as TikTok boy, garnered attention. So yeah, the person who stole it has been arrested, and AJ Brown did hop on to Instagram and issue a veiled threat to the person who stole the car. So here is that video.
Come on, Philly. Come on, man. You stole my whip last night. Come on, man. I'll make a deal with you, bro. To whoever you are, which I'm going to find out soon. I'll make a deal with you, bro. Just bring the whip back, bro. I won't press charges, bro. Just bring the whip back, bro. And you can go on about your day. But if I find you, come on, bro. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. And I'm gonna come in the interrogation room. I might see about you, my boy. Like, I'm on that. But just bring the whip back, bro. You smooth with it though. You pulled up at 342. You walked. You got up out of there at 345. You fast on your feet, real fast. I'm gonna show you how fast I am on my feet. Yeah, real talk. Like this finna get done today. Like, bro. So you might well pull back up, bro. Drop that off, bro. We know where you at right now. Right now. Like, pull back up, bro.
All right, there you go. So now I guess maybe he there was tracking on the vehicle, or that's how he knew the location. Because he said in the beginning of the video, he was like, whoever you are. So that sounds like he doesn't know who the person is. But then he later on said, I know where you at. So I don't know if that's because he's able to track the car or because he did know who the person is. I'm not exactly sure. But the person has been arrested. And AJ Brown did have to flex and puff his chest out before all of that took place. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, man, I feel as though he went about this the best way. Well, not the best way. I feel as though he went about this in a way Philadelphia would understand. I feel as though he went about it in an understanding fashion, and from the sense of, hey, Philly, I know how I go out here, but I'm AJ Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles, and y'all took my car. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to go to them people like that. I know how y'all get down out here, so I'm not trying to bust y'all's chops. But just bring the car back and we won't have any problems, And I think that is a respectable way to earn the respect of people in Philadelphia. So even the guys on the corner, the guys, cussing and fussing at because there's not enough cheese on their Philly steak sandwich. Not enough malted onions or whatever the hell they put on those damn things. Caramelized onions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, so from everybody, man. I mean, those fans booed Santa Claus, bro. All right. So Philadelphia fans, they don't give a damn. And there's some hard-nosed blue-collar people. And I feel as though stealing from somebody from their team like that, some people will go, whatever, if the guy's a diva or whatever. But I feel as though he came at him like a down-to-earth person. I feel as though that this is how you would handle Philadelphia fans. And he came about it in a cool way, I would say, for Philadelphia fans. I still felt some of it was a little brash. I'm going to see about you, my boy, and all the other stuff, that can come across some type of way to some people. You know what I'm saying? But I think the overall message of, hey man, just bring it back and there won't be no problems. I think that he's definitely earned some stripes and some respect from his Philadelphia fans. So I'm pretty sure he had a tracking device on it. I'm pretty sure wherever it was at, there was a camera. I think he knows where he lives at. So you got to take your precautions. So, man, I think these guys nowadays, man, not all of them, but I think these rappers, athletes, and entertainers, I think they know what's going on. I think they know that they're walking licks now and that they have to have at least at the bare minimum surveillance. So having surveillance and trackers on your things, I think that it behooves them to do so. Sound like he was insured enough up to make sure that if anything like that happened, that he would know who has it and where it's at. So all in all, I think AJ handled this in a pretty good way outside of the veiled threats that he made. But what are your thoughts, man, on AJ Brown going viral for, I don't know, man, not himself pulling up on a guy who stole his car, but getting his car back in, I don't know, less than 48 hours after it being stolen.
I think some of that was hold me back. Mm-hmm. Bring it back. I'm gonna see about you. Okay, so what if the guy would have brought it back? What's gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Buddy would have called him out on? What if Buddy would have called his bluff and came back? Okay, bro, I bought your whip back. Now what you gonna do?
Yeah.
What is AJ Brown gonna do at that point?
That's fair.
He's gonna prove to the world that he's a real YN at that point. because when you do that, now you're jeopardizing your career.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't believe anything would have came of that, and I believe he said that knowing that the guy was not going to bring it back.
I also agree. I agree with that.
It's a cool thing to do, social media flexing. That's what people do nowadays, jump online to show how tough they are. But this to me was a lot of hold me back. Let me make sure that I look like I'm ready to throw down, even though I know that there are going to be people there who are going to hold me back and stop me from actually having to confront that possibility.
That's fair.
And I don't care what I'm pretty sure he thinks he's the toughest guy in the world and he thinks he's about that life. But let something like that actually happen where somebody decides to call their bluff. I believe he's on the phone calling the law. And he is not getting involved personally to deal with anything like this because he is at that point jeopardizing himself and his career, which is entirely ill-advised. And if he does decide that he wants to see it through, then he is a dumbass and he's not very smart. So yeah, I get it. These guys really do like to show how tough they are, but I think a lot of that was pomp and circumstance. I don't really think he would have done anything had the person actually come back. I think he was saying it because he knew the person wasn't going to come back. And he's very thankful of modern technology because I'm pretty sure that, he wasn't riding around in a cheap car. So I'm pretty sure he had OnStar capability or some kind of satellite triangulation that can, pinpoint the location of the vehicle. He had his checks and balances if he's smart in order to be able to deal with something like this. So I'm just not buying the tough guy act. I do think that it is just that. It's an act. Also, just one additional point you brought up, the fact that these guys realize that they are licks. That is correct. Now, you know, people in his position have been getting hit up for forever. So this is nothing new. However, we are seeing an increase frequency of that happening. When you talk about Ricky Pearsall, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
or like remember the home invasions, Joe Burrow, somebody broke into his house. I think people broke into Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and stole stuff. We are seeing an increase in the frequency of these people being hit up by thieves and whatnot. And that is something that is a part of this existential crisis going on, particularly in this country where the cost of living is just something that people can't cope with, can't keep up with. And so more and more people are trying to come up with creative means to keep things going, which may include robbing rich people and athletes and famous people and people who got it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I hear you on that point. I think that speaks to the bigger economic crisis that I think is happening right before our very eyes. Don't really know what the solution to that is, but it is something that is taking place because more and more now these individuals are just getting hit up. It just seems to be happening more. Maybe that's anecdotal on my part. And if I peeled into the research and the data, maybe it's been happening at the same rate, but it feels like it's happening more now than it did in the past.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, me too. And so I kind of feel like that is the byproduct of complete economic despair, which we are in the midst of. And I do personally believe it's going to continue to increase, speaking of the despair. So, yeah, these guys need to protect themselves at all costs. But in the wake of this economic despair, the last thing that you want to do is cash in on your tough guy routine and really see about it, because I don't think that would be very smart.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Like, I really feel as though I don't think it was smart to do as a person. I think it was just best to just handle it. Uh, just press your charges and get your car back because you have it under surveillance and tracking, and go about your business. Um, but I think it's a situation. Like I said, like I think it's good. I don't know if you need it, but it's good PR in the city for those reasons that I named at the beginning. But like you said, if the guy brought it back, what happens now? You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to press charges. You're still going to feel like you got. It's a weird situation, man. I don't know if you want to come face to face with somebody that just, what else are they up to? And like you said, now if it's a situation where, he wants to rob you again, then what happens? You know what I'm saying? So putting yourself in that line of danger was unnecessary. There's nothing, you have zero to prove. You are AJ Brown of the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. So you don't have nothing to prove to this guy. But again, man, I also agree with the situation of this is just hold me back. So I think this is it's a flex.
Yeah.
It's all a flex, man. I'm not buying it. I wasn't buying it. I felt as though he was going to get the people involved no matter what. And I knew he was hoping that it wouldn't come, the guy wouldn't bring it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you with all of that stuff, man. I don't think this was smart. I think he unnecessarily put himself in the line of danger. And going about it like this probably still put himself unnecessarily in the line of danger. So I think best case scenario in this situation was, oh snap, I got robbed. Good thing I have all these things in place. I'll just get my car back later. And get your car back and don't publicize it in this fashion. But, in the days of clout, man, you know what I'm saying? In the days of you got to be hard, YN music. You got a point to prove, bro.
I think it's crazy that a guy with let me look this up because I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think it's wild that a person with a 3-year, $96 million contract feels like he would have to prove something like that. I think
Yeah.
that I think if I'm making $96 million, I've already proven what I need to prove. I don't have to prove nothing else to nobody. I got a $96 million bag, so I think that that's crazy. But I agree with you. I do. Oh, and one more, just to take it back to the previous topic, Shannon Sharp. The internet sleuths are unearthing this woman's identity. This Gabrielle Zuniga person. Apparently, she's 20 years old.
Oh yeah. She's a
Yeah.
young.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. So, don't hit me with that age stuff. People felt weird because Shaq was getting fresh with Angel Reese. Stop it. These women are seasoned either sex workers outright or sex worker adjacents at 18, 19, 20 years old. There is no longer an age restriction on this stuff. These women are coming into this season because of the programming that they are growing up being conditioned to.
Unbelievable.
So, this dude, Shannon Sharp, 50-something years old, and this girl, 20 years old, can't even legally drink, according to the reports here.
Hey, be safe out there, AJ Brown. We just heard you got $90-something million, bro. So hey, be safe, bro. It ain't safe out here.
Hey, man, stay up, bro. Yeah, shouts out to AJ Brown. Hell of a player. But
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know what it is, man. That is going to do it for tonight's stream. I am JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Conscious Approach, as always, live in effect. If this is your first time checking us out, man, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the comment, subscribe to the channel so that you can get that notification whenever new content is published. And leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any of our other videos, man. We go hard each and every week. So long as the comment is constructive, we are paying attention, we are watching, we are listening. We have a pretty, not super vast, but a decently sized content library on the channel at this point, man. We've put up a lot of videos. So, go through our full content library, check out some of our older videos, and engage with those, leave a comment on those, let us know what you think about those. Check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We are available in those areas as well. Conscious Approach is on Instagram at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH, and now also on TikTok, where you can also engage with the content there. So, newly created, fledgling, getting it off the ground. So we are now on TikTok. So follow us there as well at ConApproach, same spelling as before. Other than that, man, as I always like to say, don't be a group thinker, don't be a conformist, have a mind of your own, think for yourself. And to my guys out there, stay 10 toes down, man. Know your value. You do not have to pay for it. Trust me, you don't. And don't listen to anybody who tells you otherwise. But until next time, man, we will catch you on the flip side. Thank you for watching. Certainly appreciate it.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Facebook. All right, hell, man, if there's a social media platform out there, Dogon_SS is out there, man. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz in there. All right, and as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it plug. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, everybody, we greatly appreciate you liking, subscribing, and consciously leaving comments. We'll see y'all on the next episode. Yeah.
That's right. We'll catch y'all later, man. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for following along. We will see you later. Shouts out to MM and Wake and Bake Radio as well. Also always want to shout out everybody on the chat. But yeah, man, and shouts out to the Thunder too. A lot of people out there who are supposed to be smart about basketball don't have the Thunder winning nothing. So I want to see the Thunder win. I like their team, and I think that they are being tremendously disrespected with these playoffs. But yeah, thanks to everybody out there for watching. We appreciate you. We will see you next time. Peace.
Peace. And go Canes, baby. Go Canes, baby. Yeah. You thought I forgot?